Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you with X Factor number 37. This was part of the Inferno event that happened way back when. And for me, Madelyne Pryor has always been a tragic character. And I've been trying to brush up on her backstory because I have a majority of the Claremont Uncanny X-Men run. But I got them out of order through the years, so the arcs have always been kind of mixed up for me, especially when they started to expand out into X Factor and New Mutants, etc., so forth. So, a quick synopsis for those that have never read Inferno or kind of know who the Goblin Queen is, but don't really know who Madelyne Pryor was, is after Jean died during the Dark Phoenix saga, Cyclops left in what was issue 138, and later down the road met a woman named Madelyne Pryor. They fell in love, eventually got married and had a child who I believe was called Christopher Charles, supposed to be after Cyclops' father and Professor Xavier. However, their relationship was strained because Cyclops was always talking about how he missed Jean, and I think there was an issue, I don't know what number it is, where he actually asked Madelyne if she was Jean in disguise and kind of said that that was one of the things that attracted him to her. So, yeah. Anyway, she said that she wanted him closer, like you're trying to do X-Men stuff and you're straining the family, so that's where we got the issue where Cyclops relinquished leadership to Storm. So, gosh. When they decided to drop X Factor, that was when they decided they wanted to bring Jean back from the dead. Cyclops sees on the news that Jean's alive, leaves Madelyne and the baby to go be with Jean. Madelyne kind of starts to slowly spin out of control. Her baby gets taken away, and she starts to get courted by Limbo and Sim. The people that mess with Ileana start to mess with Madelyne. And when she goes to the Australian outback with the X-Men, she goes more, she sees why Cyclops finally left her because he just disappeared. She didn't know why. So when she's in the Australian outback, she sees a newscast where he's standing next to Jean as X Factor, and that kind of tilts her over into the dark side. And that's where we kind of start to find out that she was a clone of Jean Grey, and she gets these powers from Limbo. And so that's kind of where Inferno started, and that's why they call it Light the Match, because she is hurt beyond all belief. So that's why it makes it hard to hate her, because you can understand, but her tactics probably weren't the best way to go, especially what happens in this issue. So sorry, that was a quick backstory of Madelyne Pryor, as much as I could give. And Inferno, like when you read the main story, it's interesting because she's summoning all these demons from hell. But if you read like the tie-ins from like Avengers, etc., so forth, I found them kind of boring because all these people start becoming demons because she's able to do that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it was silly for this tie-ins like Daredevil, as I said, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Avengers. I read some of them, not my cup of tea. But the focus here is the X Factor trying to get Nathan back from these demons. So before we get into it, the print date on this was February 1989, and this was Louise Simonson writer, Walter Simonson penciler, Bob Wiacek inker, Joe Rosen letterer, Pete Scordisi colorist, Bob Harris editor, and Tom DeFalco editor-in-chief. So old school all-star cast. And I always felt, because Ann Nocenti, Louise Simonson, and Chris Claremont worked close together, that when you read these, it kind of felt semi-seamless because they all were in the same realm and knew how these characters functioned. And Walter Simonson's work in this, my goodness, look at this. That is classic. You don't see dynamic splash pages like this very much anymore. So this is called A Matter of Honor, and you can just see how X-Force is just brutally trying to take out these demons from hell. And this guy, I believe his name is Nastith or something like that. If I'm wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. And I just kind of like the surreal look, like it's something you'd see from Bill Sienkiewicz in New Mutants. So he's manipulating Madelyne because he wants her to open the portal from Limbo to Earth so that he can rule. And so Madelyne thinks that she's doing what needs to be done, but she doesn't realize that she's been a puppet for Sinister. Well, at this point, she doesn't think she's breaking away, but she doesn't realize she's a puppet for Nastith, or so we think. So that's what I mean. It gets crazy all over the place. But as you see her here, Cyclops is like, Maddie? You're alive. Don't call me that. What should we call you? You may call me your Goblin Majesty. And so everyone's like, she's not normal. This isn't the Maddie we know. And all hell breaks loose because she's talking like, how dare you abandon us? He's like, I thought you were dead. Did you? What do you think now? And you just see her rip into Cyclops. He's like, no kiss for the long-lost mother of your son. You died in Dallas. I saw it on TV. You'd like that, wouldn't you? You hoped I was dead. Gone so you could enjoy your one true love in peace. You're such a pathetic fool. You don't know what you've tossed away. And just look at how the art team puts the hurt in her face and the hatred that she now has for Cyclops. And you start to notice that Maddie starts to teeter more and more. And I don't know if it's Nasteeth messing with her or if she's just giving more and more into her hate, because you notice this is where she starts to call him Nathan. And like, why are they calling him? And it's just, that's what she wants to call him. And so I think it has something to do with what do you call it? Going against Cyclops. So that's where we kind of get Nathan Christopher instead of Christopher Charles. And so again, another one of those weird things. But what I'm trying to get at is the fact that she wants to kill Nathan. And that's Nasteeth's wish, because he says once the child has been sacrificed, limbo will open and all these demons will leap forward. And then there's a moment with Jean where she's trying to get inside her head. And she's like, it's incredible. She's like me. It's like gazing into a distorted mirror. And so I like the way once you turn the panel, you got Jean looking this way, Madelyne looking this way, and she goes, a mirror, yes, and distorted. So it's a real emotionally impactful issue, and I don't know, just the art looks great. I mean, I know it looks a little flat to a degree, but it's still classic. It's dynamic, and you don't see comics like this anymore, because this was all hand ink drawn and colored. This is back, this was 89, so digital color really wasn't there yet. So this was all still done by hand, and I think that's why I love it, because there was just that extra bit of love and attention put into the book. And Madelyne, she goes, I shattered your family once. Scott left his beloved X-Men to be with me. If only you'd stayed away, Scott. Stayed with me. It would have been all right. Why couldn't you do it my way? And then she says, but there are compensations. I see that. I learned I wasn't made for happiness, because this is where she realized that she was not an individual. She didn't have a family. She was created as a test tube baby for Cyclops, so that what's it called? Sinister could get his eugenics. And that's where it hurts the most, and you feel for Madelyne and why she's just a broken person. And what I was talking about with the demons is you find out that two people real close to one of these X Factor members has been turned into demons. And it distracts them, gives Madelyne a moment to attack. And just when you think you can read some more, we see a familiar hand reach into the panel. And so you're like, oh boy, are we going to see an awesome team up? Well, as the book says, check out Uncanny X-Men 242. So I know I kind of flew through the book and didn't really give a whole lot of context because I don't want to spoil it. I didn't realize, I've got this book and I didn't realize that how emotionally powerful it was going to be. And it hits hard. I think what hit it hard for me is because being a relatively new father, my kid's only, about a year and a half right now, I can understand Cyclops' strained and fight to want to get his son, and I can understand Madelyne saying you can't have him because you hurt me. But then she turns around and says she wants to sacrifice him. And so you realize why Scott is really trying to rip through hell itself is to get to his son. So absolutely awesome issue. Highly, highly recommend it. And if you've enjoyed it, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review of it, we'd really appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback. You know, let me know what you think of Madelyne Pryor. Let me know what you think of Cyclops' plight and everything that's been going on during this time period down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.